that kind of brings me to the topic at hand I want to talk about. Consider me to bring this a, you know what grinds my gears type of thing. Because, see, the reason I came up with this is the game nights that we usually go to, it was going to be we will alternate between each other's locations. But long story short there, it's now reached the point where we can only go to this one guy's house. And he and most of the other people live over there in Dallas. Now, of course, I live in Fort Worth, which is, for those who are not aware, is approximately 30 miles west of Dallas. So I'm having to drive all that way out there more often than not. I can sometimes, I'll get to the train in a bit. And that's one more frustrations of a whole other situation. So normally I end up having to drive, and because the games are supposed to start at least sometime after 7, I'm driving there sometime between 5 and 6 p.m. on a weekday. You can guess how frustrating that is. And just this last time, I think I ended up where I was leaving around. I'm trying to remember. It was just a little after. Actually, it was before 5 o'clock, and so I was trying to get there earlier. The traffic, because I got to take Interstate 30 from my part of Fort Worth all the way into Dallas, then up 75 Central Expressway to get to the Mockingbird area of Dallas where this guy's, my friend of mine's, house is. And it was actually pretty smooth sailing most of the way. And I guess I just timed it right. Normally, and this is the frustrating thing, normally I end up having to deal with traffic around Arlington. Especially because they are still working on the highways in Arlington at around the I-30 State Highway 360 area, where the Rangers ballpark and the Cowboys stadium now are. They have been working on that highway for 10 years. I'm not even kidding. They started completely redesigning and reconstructing that mixmaster of 30 and 360 almost immediately after the Cowboys Stadium opened in 2009. It's 2018 now, and that thing still isn't completed. So normally, that's why I gotta deal with a whole F-ton of backed up traffic on I-30 headed eastbound through Arlington into Dallas. I managed to get through that with very little traffic this past Tuesday. So I'm actually feeling pretty good. I get all the way through Fort Worth, through Dallas, through Arlington, through Grand Prairie. I finally get into the area of downtown Dallas to get on the exit onto 75. The traffic is so backed up in order to get, for those not aware how you have to do this, in order to transfer from Interstate 30 onto US 75, which is the highway that goes from downtown Dallas up into North Dallas, you get off of Highway I-30, take a northbound exit, and first you have to go on this one stretch of highway that cuts right through downtown called the Woodall-Rogers Freeway. And that connects you to 75. The traffic at this point in time, this past Tuesday, was so backed up all the way from I-75 through Woodall-Rogers all the way to the exit to get onto the exit ramp onto Woodall-Rogers from I-30. And the thing about that is, that's a new exit ramp they just put in. Dallas had recently been reconstructing and working on the I-30, I-35 Woodall-Rogers Mixmaster right there at the western end of downtown. It just got recently finished right now. And it's still backed up. That's why I am saying, right here, right now, our interstate traffic system is a complete failure. The freeway system was supposed to eliminate traffic jams. It was supposed to be just easygoing, quick, fast-paced, wide-lane traffic. You can switch into lanes with ease and just go at your best, fastest pace possible with no backup traffic whatsoever. From the moment the highway started, there were traffic problems. There was traffic jams. They've added more lanes. Still traffic jams. Now they're trying to expand and build these even greater sweeping exit ramps to get off from one highway to another. That supposedly will be much easier to loop around and keep the traffic flowing. There's still goddamn traffic jams. And it's so freaking easy to see why. You can't eliminate the bottlenecks. There's always, in every major intersection and cross of freeways, there are going to be bottlenecks. Forget the fact that even taking into account traffic wrecks and how everything can be backed up for miles just because one asshole in a white pickup truck thought the traffic laws didn't apply to him and ended up causing a boxcar effect like you see in those old goofy Freeway Menace cartoons. But by the way, let me talk about that for a moment. You know, those goofy cartoons, you've seen them. You used to see them on the Disney Channel. You probably watched them in Driver's Ed as well. Those cartoons came out in the 1950s or 60s. And talking about menaces on the freeway, they're still relevant to this day. I mean, yes, absolutely. They should still be running those cartoons in driver's ed classes nowadays because they still make sense. You still gotta deal with those jackasses on the freeway. You had to deal with them 60 years ago. You gotta deal with them now. But what I was saying was, yeah, so even if you take out the X factor of wrecks that could cause pileups, you can't get rid of bottlenecks, especially not at rush hour, because you're always going to have people slowing up so they can get in from one lane to another. Like, I should have put up images that I could show you guys here to show, for example, like what you got to deal with the traffic with the freeway system here in DFW as it is. But like, you get onto Woodall Rogers from I-30, and you're in the rightmost lane. You gotta get into the leftmost lane in order to exit onto Interstate 75. And you don't got a limited amount of space to a limited amount of time driving from one part of another to get into that lane. And the thing is, you can widen the highways as much as possible in that distance, but you can't lengthen the distance. No matter how many extra lanes, and if anything, adding the extra lanes is just going to make the situation worse. Because you still got to go from one lane, already got to cut through like 3 or 4 other lanes in probably about 1,000 yards tops to get from your entrance ramp onto Woodall Rogers from I-30 to get onto the exit ramp onto 75. And even then you gotta deal with the pile-ups of 75, because I think you're, to make certain you know which lane you have to get into to get onto your exit ramp, to get onto the exit what street you're trying to get off of I-75 to. That's just in Dallas. Now, like I said, I live on the west side of Fort Worth, Texas. And I like living here. I love living in Fort Worth. It's a hell of a lot better place to live than in Arlington, over to the east. That's a topic for another day. Or maybe I'll talk about briefly as well. But that having been said, right here on the west side, you gotta deal with a cluster crap of highways here, where you've got Interstate 30 coming westbound from out of downtown, and you head into the towards the Cultural District, the exit to University Drive to TCU, but now they've added another freeway here, the Chisholm Trail Parkway, which is a toll road, so nobody wants to drive on it. At least not guys like me that can afford to pay extra. Like just today, I was getting supplies. I needed to get makeup and costumes and stuff for this next Rowdy and Friends episode. There's a costume shop right here near the air, not that far from my place. But the street that it's on, the exits onto the street, it's not just it's on Forest Park Boulevard, and just the exit onto Forest Park from I-30. It's so if you're getting off of the if you're exiting onto the highway from, say, like University Drive or Montgomery, heading eastbound, and you need to get onto Forest Park, you need to get onto the highway from University or Montgomery. It's almost impossible to get on there and then get onto Forest Park without actually going past it and making a huge U-turn about a half mile to a mile further west of it and closer to downtown. And you can't stay on the service roads because there practically are no service roads because of this one huge just cluster crap mixmaster of Interstate 30, Chisholm Trail Parkway, University Drive, and Vickery Boulevard. To complicate things more, there's a rail yard here in this area. It's actually very close to my home here on the west side. It's like they added this Chisholm Trail Parkway thinking it would alleviate traffic heading southwest. And all it's done is make trying to change from one road to another right here on the west side, the University Arlington Heights District, is just even worse to begin with. And yeah, Test Zero, you say, this is why I don't drive? This is why I don't want to drive. I mean, I give you, you know what? I'm going to say, Test Zero, for those now aware, Doug Hancock, who's watching here right now live on this bit, he lives in the LA area. I've been to Los Angeles quite a few times in the last couple of years, to do film work and stuff. Of course, we were together just about a month or so ago. Tess, you and I were filming that Candy Crush review that you guys saw just a week or so ago. You know what? You know what, Doug? Yeah, there's a lot of talk about how bad the traffic situation and ineffectual the transit system is in LA. I take it over DFW's. Dallas's rail system is okay. It's getting better. They got the red line, green line, orange line. They got the light rail lines that go through parts of Dallas, enough that they can manage. And they're supposedly going to add a cotton belt strip line in the northern area, they'll make things even better. They've got the Trinity Railway that connects Dallas to Fort Worth. And in fact, that's the thing. I would love, more than anything, to just take this TRE line from Fort Worth to Dallas to hook up with my friends, because actually you can, in theory, take the TRE from Fort Worth to Union Station in Dallas, then take the red line from Union Station right up to Mockingbird in 75. My friend's house is only a short walk from there. It would be so easy. The problem is our game nights often don't end until sometime after 11 or 12 at night, and the TRE doesn't run that late. Like, if the last train departs at midnight, heading westbound back to Fort Worth, so if I don't get there in time, then I'm paying $40 for a Lyft car to drive me back to Fort Worth anyway. And yeah, you're probably right. Everyone thinks their traffic situation is the absolute worst. You in the DC area, I'm pretty sure Test Zero are saying the traffic in LA is the absolute worst. To say nothing of anyone who lives in Atlanta, because I've driven through Atlanta. It ain't no picnic either. But it just boggles my mind. And there's actually a book written about this. The book, I believe it's written by Jeff Speck, called Suburban Nation. I've never actually owned a copy. I borrowed a copy, actually from this same friend of mine who hosts our D&D games. But see, the metro area, they go from 1 to 2 a.m., that would still be just late enough for me if I was going into that area. And I'll give I'll have to say this much about LA, is that their trains, I think, don't run very late either. So, if I stay in Anaheim, getting in and out of there isn't very easy either. But this book by Jeff Speck, Suburban Nation, just talks in and out about how, widening lanes doesn't help traffic, spreading out urban areas into the suburbs, connecting them by highways, hasn't improved our way of life anymore. And just, the way to go needs to be more tightly packed urban areas that with transit systems that are designed to where people start as pedestrians and then become riders on the transit. Not where you drive from one rail station and then get on, which is what is right now. Sometimes I think the transit authorities in a lot of our areas, it's almost like they're just as much sabotaging themselves as this reanimated Out of Jimmy's Head movie is. Like, they don't want the cities don't want the transit systems to work effectively because they want to, collect tax money on the gasoline we have to use or whatnot. But yeah, I think that, Test Zero Duke, I think we all agree with that. Traffic absolutely sucks, and the highway system hasn't made it any better. Just, if I could find a way to never get on a freeway again, and ironically, I'll say this. As bad as it is, the highway system going long distance connecting, that works as well as it possibly can. Like, I gotta take the highways down from DFW to Corpus Christi and San Antonio this weekend. That's not gonna be a huge problem unless there's a wreck, something. I can manage that. It's the inner city highway system that is just a complete failure and is never going to be a success. It comes back to, I think, what Mr. Speck in his book wrote about. He said the townless highway versus the highwayless town. Well, basically it says major highways should be on the outskirts of cities, not cutting through them. Like, Woodall Rogers needs to go in Dallas. They just need to completely cover over it, put in parks and buildings on top of it, and just repurpose that area into something that can actually be used instead of just having it eat up valuable real estate for a freeway that doesn't make traffic any easier. But if I could, I'll rephrase what I was going to say. If I could ever be in a position where I never have to get on a highway within at least the DFW area, or even within any metropolitan area that I'm living in, and can just be able to ride the train from point A to point B, that might be utopia for me.